All right, so we will be continuing with key issue 3 today. Why do industries face resource challenges? Happy Monday. Don't forget to take some notes and send me a picture. All right, so we were talking about different types of resources that are used to create energy. Some of them are renewable and some of them is not. Nuclear energy is a popular alternative to fossil fuels because a large amount of energy is released from a small amount of material. So it is not renewable, but there is a ton of it. There is an enormous amount of energy in the bonds that hold the nucleus together inside of an atom. And so this nuclear energy can be released when the bonds are broken, and that can either happen through nuclear fission or fusion. Okay, so looking at some of the challenges of using nuclear energy, one of them is simply the distribution of nuclear power. Currently, nuclear power supplies about 14% of the world's electricity, but most of that is in developed countries. So Europe and North America each contribute to about 1/3 of the nuclear energy that is used in the world. More importantly, of the nearly 200 countries that we have in the world, only 30 of them use nuclear power in some capacity. 19 of them are developed countries, and then 11 of them are developing countries. In the United States, this varies from state to state. Vermont actually uses 70% nuclear power for electricity. Connecticut, New Jersey, and even South Carolina use it for about 50% of their electricity. And then there are some states, about 20, that don't have nuclear power plants at all. And so the distribution is not even. All right, so looking at other concerns over nuclear power. One of them is potential accidents. One product of all nuclear reactions is radioactive waste, and some of those are lethal. So a nuclear power plant cannot explode. There's not enough uranium there to make it explode, but it is possible to have a runaway reaction. And so the reactor is overheated, there's a meltdown, and then there can be a steam explosion. And when that happens, then radioactive material is scattered throughout the atmosphere. And so one of the most famous incidences was the nuclear incident at Chernobyl, which is in Ukraine. And there was high radiation doses that were leaked, and 56 people were killed, and then 4,000 people in that area had cancer-related deaths, people who lived near the plant. And so it can be very dangerous. Kind of continuing on with the thing about waste, the waste from nuclear fission is obviously highly radioactive and lethal, and it actually remains so for thousands of years, and so it has to be hidden until it's no longer radioactive. So in the United States, we actually have cooling tanks that we keep underground, which is a great solution, but the problem is that we're running out of room. Another problem with that is that ground contamination is a problem. Like, what if one of the cooling tanks leaks and then you have radioactive waste, which is, active for thousands of years, seeping into the ground? So another concern is bomb material. Countries that support terrorists could get a hold of nuclear weapons. Nuclear power has been used in warfare twice. Both in August of 1945 by the United States. One was a bomb at Hiroshima, one was the other at Nagasaki, and the point of that was to force the Japanese into unconditional surrender. No government has dared since use bombs like that because of mutually assured destruction. If we start attacking each other with nuclear weapons, then both sides will be destroyed, and likely everything in between. But there are some countries that support terrorists, and if they got their hands on these type of weapons, then there is no telling what they might do with them. All right, so another concern is limited reserves. So like fossil fuels, uranium which is where this nuclear energy comes from, these atoms being split, is a non-renewable resource. Our proven uranium reserves will last about 124 years if we continue to use it as we do today. And this, like we talked about, is not distributed evenly around the world. So another concern is the high cost. It costs several $billions to build a nuclear power plant, mainly because of the safety measures that have to be followed when building one. And so in order to build one, you have to have double and triple backup systems. And without it, the nuclear energy would be too dangerous to use. And even in the process of fission, uranium is mined in one place, it's refined in another place, and then it's used in another place so that there's not too much of it in one place, which might cause an accident. All right, so looking at some energy alternatives, these are going to be renewable resources. One renewable resource is hydroelectric power, and this is when you generate electricity from the movement of water. This is actually the world's second most popular source of electricity, just behind coal. About 2/3 of hydroelectric power comes from developing countries, 1/3 in developed countries. And so this is good because there's not an environmental concern here, and it is a renewable resource. So it's not like we're mining the ground for coal or we're digging wells for oil and then it's going to run out, because hydroelectric power will never run out. Another possibility is biomass fuel, and this comes from plant material and animal waste, including wood and crops. If it is carefully harvested in forests, then even wood is a renewable resource and it can be used to generate electricity and heat. And you can even use like leftover wood from construction or demolition or something like that. So this is widely available, or somewhat widely available. All right, wind power. Wind power has greater potential for increased use because only a fraction of this resource, the wind, has been harnessed. The problem is that it is super expensive to build wind turbines. And then some people don't like them because wind turbines can be noisy, it can kill birds and bats, and then some people just think they're ugly, that it messes up the natural landscape and beauty of an area. And then geothermal energy. This is energy that comes from hot water or steam that is in the earth. And so there's natural nuclear reactions that make the Earth's interior hot. And then this heat is especially pronounced in places where there's like active volcanoes. But these hot rocks can encounter groundwater, and that produces heated water or steam that can be tapped by wells. And so this is one of those that's not, like, it's not available everywhere. It's not distributed evenly because harnessing geothermal energy is most feasible at places along Earth's surface where crust plates or crustal plates meet. So the sites of volcanoes and earthquakes. The leading producers of geothermal power are the United States, the Philippines, and Indonesia. So like I said, this is really not evenly distributed across the Earth. So the ultimate renewable resource for sustainable development is the sun. So this is considered the ultimate renewable energy, and this makes it possible for countries at low levels of development to have sustainable development. And this might actually be a way for developing countries to get the electricity that they need in order to operate businesses or open schools or build hospitals. Currently, solar power only supplies about 1% of the electricity in the United States, but the potential for growth here is limitless. And there's a couple of ways that this solar energy is harnessed. All right, so this is a picture of solar energy panels, and this one they're using it like a hot water heater in Jerusalem, which is pretty cool. All right, that's all. I love you guys. Have a great day. Don't forget to send me a picture of your notes.